So I'll give you some examples of some common limiting beliefs or things that people say about money or people with money, and see if this, starts to wake something up with you. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is evil. We can't afford that. Rich people are greedy. I don't care about money. All they care about is money. Nobody should have that big of a house. Nobody should have that kind of car. Nobody needs that many cars. As soon as I get money, something takes it away. I just can't get ahead. If I get wealthy, people won't like me anymore, and on and on and on. So does any of that sound familiar? Have you heard any of these before? Have you said any of these before? Maybe all of them sound familiar. But the thing is, none of these things are true. None of these things are like absolute truths. None of them are written in stone. They're just things that we have come to believe. And most of these things are things we believe, and we walk around believing and operating from these beliefs, and they aren't even ours. They were given to us by like our parents, our grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, movies, music, whatever. So again, but none of them are truth. The other thing is that we also will have these unhealthy or limiting emotions and feelings about money. So that can be like guilt and shame around money. So we might feel guilty for wanting to be multimillionaires. We might feel guilty for wanting to have a certain kind of car, or feel guilty for wanting certain, I don't know, types of clothes or whatever it might be. So we have this guilt or this shame around money. Sometimes we might feel guilty or shameful if we come into some sort of money. I remember this happened to me last summer. I manifested a large amount of money, largest amount of money I've ever manifested in my life. And I remember, like, as soon as I started, like, as soon as I got it, it was the weirdest, hardest to describe. It was like this pit of my stomach, guilt and shame feeling. Like, almost like you're looking around to see if anyone sees or something. It was so bizarre. And I had to sit with that and dig into it, and come to find out it had to do with like what I had manifested the money for. And it was like irresponsible based on the way I was raised and the beliefs that I was raised with around money. And so that's why I was feeling all this guilt and shame. So that's another thing that happens. Another thing is obsession about money and material things. So we see people go the other end of the extreme, or the other end of the spectrum, where it's like they're obsessed about it. They want to keep up with the Joneses. They want to have what other people have. I've heard stories of people like spending their rent to buy like some type of purse because they want to have that kind of purse. You hear stories of people like buying some super expensive dress to wear to an event, and then they take it back. And then they, like, just stuff like this, because again, it's like you're trying to uphold a certain image, or there's this obsession about having a certain amount of money, or appearing that you have a certain amount of money. And then another thing that happens is we hold and cling to our worldly possessions. And this is tricky because it's hard not to. This is something I was confronted with this recent season of, like, I had to even like accept and surrender the possibility of losing my house and my car, everything. I got to a place where it was like, okay, if that's what's going to happen, I'm trusting you, God, that there's a reason like that. And that's where I had to get to. But my clinging to it like that was creating all this resistance, and it was just making everything a lot more difficult and more painful. But that's another thing that we do, is we hold too tightly, and we put too much on our worldly possessions, so that we won't move. We won't move in faith because we let the fear get too big. And this is, like I said, this is tricky, because this is freaking hard. This last one is really like, it is very challenging.